while your maintenance routine is destroying your aquarium. I know that sounds dramatic, but some of the things we do to take care of our tanks can quietly make things worse. In this video, I'm going to show you a few common habits that can harm your aquarium and what to do instead. Water changes are supposed to help your tank, but in some cases, they can be the reason everything goes wrong. There are two things you need to watch out for. The first one is mineral content. If you're using a reverse osmosis or RO system, that water is pure, like really pure. It has almost no minerals, which means the new water you are adding is very different from the water already in the tank. That can seriously destabilize your parameters, especially pH, GH, and KH. And when that happens, your fish and shrimp don't have time to adjust. Their bodies work through something called osmosis, balancing the minerals inside them with the water around them. So when you do a big water change with pure RO water, it can throw that balance off and cause osmotic shock, which stresses them out, and in some cases, you can even lose your fish. The solution to this problem is a simple one. Set up a reservoir tank. Let your RO water sit in there first, then remineralize it before it ever touches your aquarium. That way, it matches your tank's water more closely. But that brings us to problem number 2. Stagnant water loses oxygen. If that water sits too long without movement or surface agitation, it can become low in oxygen. And when you add that water to your tank, it causes stress all over again. If you're using a reservoir, make sure you have an air pump in your aquarium. Turn it on right before the water change and leave it on for around 10 minutes after. It does wonders. Trimming is an essential part of any maintenance routine. We all have to do it at some point. But if you cut too much at once, your tank might start fighting back. In a planted tank, plants do more than just look pretty. They absorb excess nutrients, help prevent algae, and keep the water stable. So when you trim too many of them at once, two things happen. First, those fresh cuts start to release ammonia. It's just part of the damage response. Plants leak waste when you cut them, especially soft stem plants. And if you do a big trim, all that ammonia can spike up and trigger an algae bloom. Second, you now have fewer plants doing the heavy lifting. So nutrient uptake goes down right when the ammonia is going up. That's a terrible combo, especially in high-tech tanks with CO2 and ferts. So here's what I do. If I'm going to trim, I either trim only half the plants and leave the rest untouched, or I trim everything but replant most of the cuttings right away. That way, even if the original stems are leaking some ammonia, I still have all the healthy tops rerooting and soaking up nutrients like nothing ever happened. It keeps the tank balanced, the plants looking full, and the algae from ever getting a chance to start. Just remember, your plants are helping you keep algae at bay. Decreasing plant mass should always be done carefully. If you guys are enjoying the video, remember to like and subscribe. And thank you so much to all of you guys who have been subscribing lately. I think we can agree that most of us feed our fish more than we should. But the focus of this tip is not actually overfeeding, it's feeding when we shouldn't. What do I mean by this? Let's say you're in the middle of your maintenance routine. You clean the tank, change the water, then reward the fish with a nice meal. But here's the problem. That's the worst time to feed them. After a water change, your fish are already under stress. The temperature might be slightly different, the flow could have changed, their territory might have been disturbed, especially if you've moved things around or scrubbed the glass. And when fish are stressed, their digestion slows down. Think of it like this. When your body is in fight or flight mode, eating isn't the priority, survival is. Same thing happens with fish. Their system isn't ready to process food, so it just sits there longer than it should. That can lead to bloating, constipation, or even internal infections in more delicate species. On top of that, stressed fish might not eat all the food you drop in, which means uneaten food starts to break down and releases ammonia into the water you just cleaned. So give them a break. Wait at least a few hours after a water change before you feed, or just skip feeding until the next day. Your fish will be healthier and your water will stay cleaner. And since we're talking maintenance, you should definitely check out my Aquarium Spot Vacuum. It lets you clean up algae, moss clippings, and debris without removing a single drop of water. It saves time, keeps your tank clean between water changes, and honestly, I think it's awesome. If you want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the description. Filters don't just clean your water, they balance your entire ecosystem. So when you overclean them, you're not doing maintenance, you're doing damage. There are 3 things you should avoid when cleaning your filter. First, don't scrub off that brown layer that builds up inside the walls of your filter. I know it doesn't look great, but that stuff is packed with beneficial bacteria. That's the bacteria that keeps your tank cycle. It helps convert toxic ammonia into safer forms like nitrite and nitrate. Scrub that off too hard and your tank basically has to start over. Second, don't use tap water to rinse your filter media. Even if your tap water doesn't smell like chlorine, it still has just enough to really damage your bacteria colony. And when you lose that bacteria, you'll start seeing ammonia spikes, algae blooms, and stressed out fish, all from trying to be too clean. Third, don't replace your sponges too often. I only change mine when they are completely falling apart or the flow is really low, and even then, I do it one sponge at a time. Even cheap filter floss builds up a healthy bacteria colony over time. Swapping it out too early means you're throwing all that away. So yeah, keep your filters working, but don't sterilize it. A filter that's too clean isn't helping. It's just running water through an empty box. The real power of your filter is the biology inside it. It's easy to fall into the trap of reaching for a bottle every time something looks off in your tank. Is the water a little cloudy? Add a clarifier. A bit of algae on the glass? Pour in some algae remover. But the more you rely on chemicals, the more unstable your tank becomes. Let's start with water clarifiers. They work by clumping tiny particles together so your filter can grab them. Sounds great, until you realize that those clumps can clog your filter media, slow down your flow, and cause uneven filtration. On top of that, clarifiers don't actually solve the problem. Cloudy water usually comes from overfeeding, dairy substrates, or a mini cycle, not something a chemical can fix for good. Then there's algae fighting products. Most of them use harsh compounds to destroy algae cells directly, but they don't just stop at algae. They can also harm delicate plants, shrimp, snails, and even the beneficial bacteria that keeps your tank cycle. You might get rid of the algae for now, but without solving what caused it, like poor flow, excess nutrients, or bad lighting, it just keeps coming back. So you dose again and again until your tank becomes chemically dependent and biologically unstable. The truth is, a healthy tank shouldn't need bottle help every week. If your maintenance routine includes regular chemical fixes, it's time to ask yourself whether you are treating the symptoms or actually fixing the problem. Let your tank rely on balance, not bottles. Sometimes, what we think is helping the tank is actually holding it back. If you've got any tips that have helped you make your routine better, drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear what's working for you guys.